What's going on, people? Welcome to the match preview as we look ahead to the Bournemouth game. Massive game for Palace after that defeat against Fulham on the weekend. And I'm joined by Stan here to discuss the game and more. As always, we want to hear from you. So leave down your comments in the comment section down below. And if you do enjoy the video, smash the like button and subscribe to not miss out on future Palace content. Stan, this is worrying. This is how I'm starting the show. It is worrying going into this game after what happened against Fulham. Because of the games that we got coming up. Of course, 3-0 at home is not a great result, regardless of, red cards or not. We didn't play great in that game. But look, 2 games in a row, if you exclude a break, 2 games in a row now, Fulham and Forest. We had no shots on target. 3-0 defeat in our last game. For you, how important is this game, considering the opponents that we got coming up?
I think it's very important. I think it could be a defining game in Patrick Vieira's time as manager here, because if you look at who we got to play afterwards, obviously we've got Spurs at home. I think it's on
coming up the week following. It should be on Tuesday.
Yeah, on Tuesday. And then we've got Southampton in the cup, but then we've got Chelsea, Newcastle United, Brighton, and a number of other very, very difficult teams.
Yeah, loads of teams, loads of difficult runs of game coming up.
It could be banging trouble.
It isn't looking good. So for you, how important? You talk about banging trouble. Is it a case of must win? Are we in that territory? Because we're looking at Bournemouth. They're not in the relegation zone, but they're only 3 points off us. And we'll talk about the league table later on. But is this a case of must win or must not lose? Like, where do you stand in terms of the result that we need to ideally get in this game?
I think every game's must not lose for sure. I think personally, if we want to avoid being dragged into a ridiculously difficult mess, a mess that's going to be very difficult to get out of, I think this is a must win because look, they're a newly promoted team. They're good at home. Their home record's good, and they've got some results there. They've beaten a couple of teams where you think, wow, okay, like they're no mugs. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not, they're no pushovers, and they've got players that will cause us problems. So I think we've got to be, what's it called? We've got to be mindful, but we should be going out with the mentality that this is a must win. Yeah,
I don't think it's a must win though. A must win is. It's a big thing to if you don't lose this, if you lose this game, then it's scary. I don't think it's a must win. I think we need to get at least a draw out of this game. I think a draw we'll talk about score prediction later on, but draw I think would be a good place to start again. Getting something out of this game and building.
Where are you picking up?
Build on.
Where are you picking something up again in the next 5 games?
In terms of the games in itself, it is looking difficult. But then, if you was to lose this game, then forget about where you're picking up. The momentum and the negativity would just be too much. If you get a point against Bournemouth, and then you got Spurs at home, which we know as of lately they've been struggling in terms of every time they seem like they're conceding the first goal. There are weaknesses in some of the sides that we're facing. I know, but then
actually no. Tell them how we beat them last season. My bad. Sorry.
And then also, you mentioned before the show, Fulham didn't beat us in years or whatever, and they still managed to beat. When you look at things like that, it's stats, but on a day we can definitely get a result. But all I'm saying is, I think we need to get a draw out of this game, at least a draw. Because imagine if we lose. Just imagine that. Imagine the negativity going into the Spurs game, and imagine if we lose the Spurs game based on that negativity. Then we got Southampton. It can have a knock-on effect. We need at least something out of this game. I think that is so crucially important. Even if it's not win, a positive performance and a draw will give confidence to people. Not just a draw, a positive performance as well. I think that's key. But if you have a negative performance and you end up losing, that's when it gets worrying. That's when it gets seriously worrying for me. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the changes, what changes are you expecting in this game? We will have Mark Gay back, of course. But would you like any other changes to the team or different approach? We could talk about Zaha. We could talk about the left back as well. But for you, what do you think needs to change after that Fulham game? Because that was a disgrace of a performance, even before the red card. And that's the most important thing. We weren't good before the red card.
I want to see Wholesale changes, mate. I think. I'll be honest with you. I think he's got to get Schlupp out of that midfield. Because he's been, there's been a couple of games even when we've won when he's not been great. And he doesn't do much. He passes backwards, he passes sideways, but he loses the ball going forwards. So I'd like to see Will Hughes in for Jeffrey Schlupp. Edouard's got to come back. I'm not sure who to take out. Do you take out Ayew or do you take out Elise? Because I want Wilf playing on one wing, and Ayew or Elise on the other. And that's how I feel we can win that game, because I think Elise can cause them problems. But I will say about him, like, he plays the last couple of games like he just can't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? Like he's not there. He's got a spot. Yeah, I just think
he's not really getting service, is he though?
He's not.
It's hard to judge the forward players. You can make an observation like that about Wilf. You can say, "Oh, look, he didn't do anything. He's even in it." But then when you look at the game as a whole, we were dreadful against Fulham playing out from the back. That was our main downside. They didn't really get the ball as much.
That's true. He was I want to see a West Ham type of performance from him, like when he owned West Ham. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to see that type of performance from him. And yeah, I don't know. Also, fullbacks, get Jairo Riedewald in at fullback. Like, come on, do you know what I mean? Play him left back, but he won't do. I don't think that I don't think you're going to see wholesale changes. I don't think you will.
But then he was frustrated. He was frustrated after that defeat against Fulham. Like you could genuinely see how pissed off Vieira was. And if he's that pissed off and he makes no changes, then that's just it doesn't make any sense. It'll be so baffling. Surely he has to make changes. First and foremost, he has to make a change at left back.
He has to, because I'm saying that he'll only make changes where he has to.
Schlupp can't play in this game. I'm sorry, but Jeffrey Schlupp can't start in the next game, whether it's at left back or whether it's in midfield. For me, I'll go Riedewald. Just
100%.
Just give these other players some hope. Because now,
you know what? I don't know why you don't play him. He's being stubborn with him. He can play centre mid. He can play left back. He can play pretty much anywhere across the back line, or anywhere across or in the centre. Do you know what I mean? In the mid centre or midfield. Play him. He's a good player. He's from Ajax Academy. He knows how to play. He should be a great outlet for Vieira. He's a ball-playing midfielder, for Christ's sake.
Exactly. And we literally need these ball-playing midfielders. Even if it's not Riedewald playing in midfield, I would like to see Hughes, as you said. I think Edouard having a striker, because Wilf up front doesn't work when he doesn't get no service. And we're seeing it in the last 2 games. We had 0 shots on target. That's crazy. Not goals.
It's not acceptable.
On target.
It's not acceptable. It's unacceptable.
It's not. We've had 4 games so far this season with no shots on target. So, and in 2 of them, Wilf has played up front. And that's not because of Wilf just playing up front. It's because he's not getting a service up front.
I agree.
We saw it. And so for me, Wilf has to go out wide. And the player that's been on form, Edouard, has to start. Our only striker that's been somewhat on form this season. And Elise goes down the right-hand side. Put Eze through the middle, because it's way better centrally than going out wide. Have Hughes and Decore there. There's a midfield there. You have a number 10 in Eze. You have Decore and Will Hughes, who are actual midfielders rather than Decore in himself. That adds a balance. And it might not work, but I want to see it. Instead of seeing the same thing over and over again.
I want to see it as well, but I also want to see him actually give Riedewald a go at left back. Because
but do you think this might be a good opportunity for Adam Rolla as well to get an opportunity at left back?
He's not good enough, mate.
That's hard. You can't say he's not good enough. How many
he's good enough
for us to say he's not good enough? But why? Why is he not good enough?
He's not playing. If you're good enough for the first.
Okay, all right. So based on that theory, Will Hughes is not good enough. No one else is good enough.
Well,
they're not playing.
He gets on.
These players have got talent. Just because they're not playing, it doesn't mean that they're not good enough.
I don't think we're in the business to be taking risks with Teo Adaramola at this moment in time. Personally,
I think we're in the business of taking risks at this point, because that's what is causing us in this position in the first place. And look, I'm just asking a question whether Adam Rolla would you have liked to see Adam Rolla play. For me, I think Riedewald, that's still taking a risk. And that's
remember, Riedewald's got to be there for 3 games as well. Mitchell's banned for 3 games.
So for me, I'll go Riedewald. But I thought I'll ask you a question because people forget about Adam Rolla anyways. I'll go Riedewald. But look, there we mentioned about Gahey, Hughes, we both agreed on. Edward, we agreed on. Reederwood, we agreed on. So we're talking about 4 changes minimum. 4 changes minimum. That's not less. That's decent amount of changes.
He won't do it. He won't do it, man.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Let us know in the comment section if you guys think that Vieira, would he make them changes? Let us know. For me, I think he has to make them changes, especially after how he reacted after the Fulham defeat. He really looked annoyed. But let's look at the league table stand. And as I said, it's not the end of the world. When you look at the league table, you can see we're 11th. We're only 3 points off, well, potentially going to 9th. And if we draw this game, we could go up to 10th. I'm not including goal difference as well in these. I'm just looking at the points tally. And if we lose, we can be level on points with Bournemouth, who are 14th. So we're right in the pack of it. If we do lose against Bournemouth, forget about just the momentum side of things. If you're level on points to Bournemouth, then Leeds are only like a point away from you. West Ham are not that far off. Everton are not that far off. And Wolves. You get closer. We're reaching that point where if we do lose this game, Bournemouth catches up to you, then other teams are also on the verge as well. And these teams that we're talking about, Wolves, Everton, and the likes of West Ham, they're near enough the relegation zone. So when you look at that, it makes this game even much bigger that we can't lose this game. That's why I say don't lose this game, because you don't want Bournemouth catching up to you. They're another side that's pretty much on our level so far this season, which you can make the argument, should they be? They just got promoted, but that's how it is. So for me, you can't lose that game. But in terms of Bournemouth, Sam, what do you make of them? Their last 5 games, they lost to Chelsea most recently, lost to Newcastle in the Cup, beat Everton both in the league and the Cup, and then lost also to Leeds. They're good side. I think they're beatable when you look at some of the recent results and seeing how they've played. O'Neill just came in. He's a decent manager, but he's still learning on the job. So I don't think it's a case of, Bournemouth are much better than us. They're a decent side and they can 100% beat us, but they're not great as well. They've had their flaws. I've spoken to Bournemouth fans ahead of the opposition preview, which make sure to check that out after this. We can beat them, don't you think?
I think we can, definitely. And I think, on paper, our team is better. But listen, they've given a good account of themselves coming up. Everyone thought that they'd be the whipping boys of the Premier League, and they'd be cut adrift by now. They're not. Far from it, I would say. They've got some good players that will cause us problems. We spoke about it just before we went live. Solanke knows where the onion bag is. Kiefer Moore, he's very, very strong. He's aggressive in the air. Who's the guy who plays in midfield for them? Is quite good as well.
Lerma.
Who's that?
Lerma.
Is he that? Yeah,
Yeah,
so they've got.
I think he's their number 8. He's their number 8. But they've got some solid players. But they've also got Chris Metham, the Wales international. I don't know if he's going to be playing the next game. He was out against Chelsea, but he's a solid defender. If he doesn't play, then that helps us as well. But for me, Adam Smith against Zaha, I want that battle to happen. And even talking to the Bournemouth fan, he even admitted it. Zaha's got the best out of him when they went head to head. Where that happens is Zaha goes out wide. So there are weaknesses there. They've got some solid players, but there are also players that we can get the better out of them. Yeah, exactly. If our players stand up to the plate.
Yeah.
But in terms of our recent results against them, we lost. The most recent game was, do you remember what it was? Against Bournemouth.
So it was the cup game when Wayne Hennessy.
Yeah, when Wayne Hennessy. It was 0-0. We lost that. But other than that, in terms of our head-to-head record with Bournemouth, in our last 5 games against them, got 3 wins, 2 defeats. We beat them 2-0 at their ground before that cup game. 1-0, beat them 5-3, and also lost 2-1. So we have managed to get results against them. But you know what I'm most worried about? I'm most worried about the tactics. And the reason why I'm worried about it is because I can see them pressing. I believe the Bournemouth fan, Matt, he said this. I forgot who they faced most recently. Let me just quickly check. Was it against Everton? Yeah, I think against Everton, they went all out and they went pressing. The intensity was up. And I'm worried about that more than any other player, because if they press us with that intensity, and if we don't have some of these players like Will Hughes in midfield, or Reederwood starting, or Edward starting, or Will going playing out wide, I don't know if we can hack it. And that's why we need to start them plays, because if they go full out on us, we've seen it so far this season. It's one of our biggest weaknesses. Fulham done it, and if they do it away from home, that'll be another troublesome thing for us to worry
I
about.
hope Patrick Vieira's watching and listening to this in some shape or form, and he takes our advice, because they've beaten some good teams. They beat Villa first game of the season, and they beat them comfortably. And you know what? Teams have nullified us with press. Like, we've not been able to do anything. And like last couple of games, like no shots on target. It's been like going back to the last few months of Roy Hodgson era, right? It was terrible.
Even worse than that, because apparently if we get no shots on target against Bournemouth, we'll set a Premier League record. I don't think no team in Premier League history, I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but I think I saw that somewhere, that no team in the Premier League history has gone 3 games in a row without a shot on target. We're not talking about goals, we're talking about shots on target, which is crazy. Like, what Premier League team wouldn't have a shot on target for 3 games in a row?
Those were the tactics, right? Where we've been weak, we haven't been good enough. So show us what you can do.
Exactly. Now let's talk about score predictions. We spoke about what we think, how the game could potentially go. We spoke about what we want in terms of results. I said at least a draw to build a bit of a foundation that we can build on. You said we need to win. If we were to win, what's the score prediction? How do you see it going? Would it be a comfortable win? Would it be a difficult one?
I think it's going to be a very ground out result. Like, we're going to have to grind this one out and get some confidence back. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned because of recent performances, where I've gone into games thinking that these players and this manager knows where it's at. They evidently, on the last few shows, they don't. But I'm not going to press panic stations yet. I'm going to try and stay away from being too negative. So I'm going to go 2-1 Palace.
2-1 Palace. I'm going to go 1-0. I'm going to go 1-0 because that's the scoreline. Ever since the Fulham game, that's the scoreline that's been in my head. But Stan, knowing we're saying these score predictions, but we've seen Palace in the past. Like, we've had dreadful performances this season, and then next game we go perform greatly, and then we go back to being same old Palace. So our problem has been inconsistent. So I wouldn't be totally surprised if we do go and play some great football and beat them. We saw it against West Ham away from home. We just switched up. And then the next game, which was against Nottingham Forest, I can't remember.
Newcastle
where
Forest,
we just, exactly. Yeah, we just absolutely crumbled. So we know that we're inconsistent, but we got it in us to perform as well. I'm going for 1-0. Stan's going for 2-1. Let us know your score predictions in the comment section down below. It is going to be a tough game. Let us know your thoughts as well. Make sure to subscribe to Back of the Nest if you haven't already done so. If you have enjoyed the content, smash the like button and subscribe to not miss out on future videos. Thank you to Stan, and thanks to everyone who's been watching this video. And until next time, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.